Hello and welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast. As always, we're powered by Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. Our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal can remove trees, they can haul rock and sand, they can do driveway work or repair pond dams. Now they can even do horizontal grindings of large wood debris piles. Give Keith a call at 229-314-2048. or at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Our viewership just continues to grow, and for the 9th straight week, we have had in excess of 2,000 views on our program. We definitely want to thank you for that. Thank you for being a part of the Integrity Sports Podcast family. We're on Facebook and X as well as YouTube. So whatever platform you're watching this on today, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. We make a special plea each week for those of you watching on YouTube to hit the subscribe button and help us get to that 1,000 subscriber mark. We've been doing this program for almost 2 years now, and we've tried to focus on 5 schools in particular: Sumter County High School, Southland Academy, Sly County High School, and then our 2 colleges, Georgia Southwestern as well as South Georgia Technical College. But we do have another high school here in Sumter County, Furlow Charter. And today our guest is one of their students. He's a junior and wants to be a broadcast journalism major after high school. He and I have known each other literally his whole life, and that's Logan Luton. Logan, thanks for being with me today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Logan, I want to begin today by letting you give us some background. Tell us a little bit about how long you've attended Furlow Charter School and maybe what sports you have participated in as a student athlete.
All right. I've been at Furlow for 9 years. I started when I was in 3rd grade, and like you mentioned, I'm going into my junior year. And this year, Furlow celebrates its 10th anniversary, opened in 2015. I came in 2016 right after that. And during my time, I've played baseball for many years. I think I started in 5th grade playing baseball, and then I played basketball for 2, and then I played golf last year.
Gotcha. Logan, our aim on this program since the inception has been to be, number one, factual and always positive, and we want to inform our audience. So, Logan, what I know about Furlow athletics up to this point is that many times there are enough student athletes in the middle school grades to create a middle school age team, but rarely has there been enough to make a varsity level team. And I am aware that you guys have had, say, cross country pretty much every year, and it's been very successful on the varsity level there. But talk to us a little bit about what it's going to take for Furlow Charter School to start fielding varsity teams in most of the traditional sports.
Well, I think the biggest problem that we have, and it's it's something that's kind of unavoidable given that we're in a smaller location. We just don't have the facilities and the amount of students that we need to field some of these teams. Some of the interest in sports, like I mentioned, I play golf. There's a very small interest in that. And I think if you had a sport like football, we would have interest, but we don't really have any facilities that we can use to practice. We don't have a field. We don't have locker rooms, anything like that. We're just at a smaller location, so we don't really have the opportunity to field stuff like this. And in my opinion, that's part of why our cross country and track teams are so good. You know, you can run anywhere. And so these kids can go out on our campus and they can run. But for sports like baseball, where you kind of need a little bit more structure, it can be more difficult. And we have a little baseball field, but it's not anything really what we're going out and playing against. These kids with just nice facilities. And like I said, football, don't really have a spot to play in that.
And you know what, Logan, I know we didn't talk about this earlier, but I'd be interested to kind of get your thoughts on this. What a lot of our general public, I don't think, understands is for any public school, regardless of size, the state does not give funds for athletics. You have to generate those funds through user fees or donations and sponsorships or ticket sales. And so, Furlow, as a fledgling school just getting started, I would imagine that's one of the challenges as well, is getting enough funds to fund those programs.
Certainly. And I think part of it being in the old Sarah Cobb building, not that that's a small, unaccommodating building, but we did kind of get a little cramped. So in the past year, they built a modular building for high school where it put us, we stayed on campus, but we just moved across the lot. And that took a lot of funding and it took a lot of resources. So I think that definitely contributed to not kind of a down year as far as sports are concerned. We didn't field a baseball team in middle school or varsity, from my knowledge. And the golf team was very small. The basketball team, we had a little bit of upgrades there, had better jerseys, a little bit of better equipment, but nothing too major. But I think there are probably struggles to get funding that is required for some of these spots. And just like I said earlier, it's a smaller location, not really a lot of opportunities for the facilities necessary to field some of these teams. If we had the funding, we may not even be able to do it.
We are talking today to Logan Luton. He is a junior at Furlow Charter School. We want to thank all of our sponsors that support this program each week. One of those is Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance. They are located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Americus. You can reach them by phone at 928-3686, or better yet, drop by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their staff and let them discuss your insurance needs. They can even do the famous discount double check to ensure that you're receiving all of the savings that are available to you. Thanks again to Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Logan, I know that you were able to compete last year for your school as an individual in the sport of golf. Tell us kind of how that worked, and is there hope that in the future Furlow Charter will be able to field a full men's and women's golf team?
Yeah, well, the hope for me is kind of a pioneer of the golf program at Furlow as a competitor in the first year, and assumably I'll be competing in these next couple years of high school. It's kind of small right now, and I think the kind of general consensus, at least from what I've seen, is that the interest in golf is not very high, or even if people are interested, they're not skilled enough to play at a high school level, which is not an insult on them. Golf is a very difficult sport, or just don't have the equipment needed, because golf isn't a sport where there's really equipment the school can provide. It's you bring your own clubs to it. I would like to see after I graduate and as I have younger cousins coming up, as people come up and tell me, I would like there to be a golf team competing. I'd like to kind of say I pioneered that, but I don't know. My hope is that that'll happen, is that kind of interest will spike in the sport in general, and then that'll lead to more kids seeing it on TV and finding it interesting and wanting to get into it, and then carrying that interest into high school. But as far as I know, that could be far away. I don't know. Yeah.
Here's my hope, Logan, is I know your athletic director there, Dwayne Sapp, and he's a pretty good golfer, by the way. We're going to try to have Coach Sapp on to fill us in a little bit more about this down the road. But if you're a student at Furlow Charter School and you have any interest in golf, talk to Logan, talk to Coach Sapp, and let's do our best to see Furlow Charter be able to field a competitive golf team in the coming school year. Logan, as you look toward the future, kind of post-high school graduation for you, I know in some brief conversations that we've had, you've got a desire to kind of get into sports journalism or really more particularly broadcasting. Talk to us a little bit about your hopes along that path.
Well, the goal is for me to one day be commentating on NBA and NFL games. I know some of that happens simultaneously, so that could lead to a very busy fall and maybe a little bit early spring, but I'm ready for it. I really like watching football, like watching basketball, and I like to talk, so I always figure that's a good combination. I assume most of the stuff I've looked into, it'll kind of start, especially around here, start doing any radio stuff that I can, any little bit of journalism here and there, maybe doing some sideline reporting for any of that stuff, but just kind of getting my foot in the door. And then for college, I know some schools, I'd like to stay in state for college. I know some schools have, like a UGA definitely has its own specific commentary major that I'd like to do, but if there's any other school, like I know Kennesaw State's up there, Georgia Southern, any of these other smaller schools up there that may be a little on the cheaper side that still have something like that or have a very good journalism program, I'd like to get into that to kind of kickstart that career.
Absolutely. And this program, I'm not a tech savvy guy at all. And I know you are a lot more tech savvy than I am. The podcast realm is really taking off, and we're kind of on the ground floor of that, but we definitely expect that to be a bigger medium in the years to come. So we wish you the best in those endeavors. Another one of our sponsors today is One Digital Solutions. They are a steward of business growth and personal development. Their insurance, financial, and HR platforms provide you with a personalized, tech-enabled solution for a contemporary work-life experience. One Digital resolves real problems for your business and for your employees. They do that by fusing together customer solutions that address things like employee benefits, HR, and financial services. It really is everything all in one. It's One Digital. Contact our friend Will Peterson. His number is 229-347-6289. One Digital is proud to sponsor this next segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Logan, while a lot of people in our audience are aware of Furlow Charter, many of us just aren't familiar with things like how it's governed, what maybe some of the differences are between a charter school and your traditional public school. Can you kind of explain to us, give us the big bubble version, I guess, of how that works and what your experience has been like at Furlow?
Well, I think the biggest difference that we have is that we're a project-based learning school, so we do a lot more hands-on stuff. A lot of our, especially in a science class in high school, we have in our modular building, we have a dedicated science lab now. So we're able to, for those 11th graders like myself going into chemistry, or the 10th graders in biology, or even the physical science and environmental science, you now have that lab access to be able to open up more what you can do, especially in that hands-on environment. It's really good for students who learn like that. And even if you are less of a project guy like myself, I definitely like more paper and pencil work. You still get some of that, and you still get, but the project aspect, it really does help students that are like that develop. And even if you're not, like I said, I'm not. And, I can still keep my grades up. You still have that ability to be a good student, even if you're not a project kind of guy. And my experience so far, I've enjoyed my time at Furlow. I think it's, from what I've heard, is kind of, the administration it's different. Certainly, this is my first time going into a longer term administration. I think just a newer school, we're going to have some turnover. But the current administration, they seem to be on board. They seem to be here for the long haul. Nicole Walker's our assistant principal, and Elisa Falco, she's our principal, she's our head director. And they seem to be having us on the right track, getting us more into the public light, getting us some nice school improvement, like the modular building. That was a good time for high school to be able to be in our own streamlined environment where things that we do don't necessarily affect the rest of the school and vice versa. So we can kind of have our own environment for us to develop as a high school. But I think they've got us on the right path going forward.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Logan. As I was thinking about this question myself, as a community member, you look kind of from a distance at Furlow, and those first few years, there was just a lot of turnover in the upper level administration. It was almost every year, if not every year, every other year. And now there seems to kind of have been a stability there, and you see things starting to progress. So real good evaluation there, I think. As a student leader there, Logan, you're now an upperclassman as a junior, and you're somebody that's kind of laid the foundation. You've been there 9 years. Fast forward 20 years down the road, and you're now a parent 20 years down the road. What do you hope to see Furlow be for this community?
Well, that parent thing, that kind of made me feel old a little bit. I don't like to think about that kind of math. But I definitely, like I mentioned earlier, I'd like to see there be a golf program, and I'd like to see athletic programs be more prominent. Like I said about the facilities, I don't know how well that's going to be able to be done. I'd like to see it done. I'd like to see, even if there's like a 7-on-7 football league that we can find somewhere, be able to do something, just kind of expanding the school as we go about. There were talks, I don't know how serious they were, but I heard some students theorizing that when Sumter County High School moves out of their building, if maybe we got put in that building just as a whole school or just as a high school, either way, kind of give us more space. But I assume with the modular building, that won't be a thing, which is fine. I have no problem with our campus as it is. But I would definitely like to see it be expanded more, kind of get a public perception like of that stability that you mentioned. I obviously don't know how long this current administration is going to be there, but I can imagine they'll be here for the long haul. The previous administrators, not that there was anything wrong with them, it's just new school. There's a lot of turnover. For my first 3 or 4 years at Furlow, I think there was a new principal every year, pretty much. So it's kind of tough to get that stability, that able to sit there and be locked in one system. But now that we've had that this is their 3rd year going in, I think there's on the up and up, no sign of any problems with administrative turnover in the future. So I think that right now everyone here is kind of laying the foundation that we need. It's going to be, I hope to see it be a good school. I hope to see the academic first mindset be put into it, whether there's athletics or not. I don't know. I'd hope my kids would enjoy athletics like I do, but really I'd like to see it be an academic first institute. And be able to continue getting kids out, have a high graduation rate, have a lot of kids that are going to college and making something of themselves in society.
Logan, as you know, I am the radio voice for Sly County High School, and it really wasn't that long ago that Sly County High School in football was a perennial cellar dweller. And they had really been a high school for 15 or 16 years before they started seeing some success on the football field. So it's vitally important that guys like you and your classmates who have been there for a few years lay that foundation so that folks coming after you will have a better situation that they can deal with. Hey, our final sponsor for the night is the Fish House Restaurant. They are located at 224 North Jackson Street here in Americus. They offer some of the freshest seafood in all of Southwest Georgia. Whether it's fresh fish, shrimp, oysters, or catfish in their seafood center, or a hot meal and a cold drink in the Fish House Restaurant next door, they are a staple for the seafood lover in our area. Go by and see Mark Tyler or any of his staff today, or you can give them a call. Their phone number is 924-5177. Let the Fish House Restaurant provide a delicious meal for you and your family today. The Fish House, proud to be a sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Here's something that I kind of been looking forward to all week, Logan. Every week, I ask my guests the same question at the end as we wrap things up. I've known your family for many years. I actually went to high school with your grandmother on your mother's side. Your paternal grandparents, Rick and Barbara Luton, have been friends of ours for many, many years, long before you were born. Known your dad almost his whole life and your mom. So we've all kind of been very close through the years, but they provide a tremendous support network for you. Tell me about your family, your friends, that support network that keeps you grounded and kind of moving in the right direction.
Yeah, my family's great, and they've known, like you said, we've known you for a while. It's but very little kid going to church with you, had to go sit with Mr. Tim every Sunday, man. That was kind of how it had to happen. But my family, they really, my granddad, especially Rick Luton, you mentioned him. He's kind of kept me in athletics, definitely. I do have that interest in sports. I think I would have stayed by myself, but having a guy like Pops who would sign me up for rec baseball every year, he'd usually be the one purchasing my equipment. He used to take me play golf all the time. He helped purchase most of my golf clubs back when I was younger. Now I have my own set that it was free because I'm smart with my money and I'm bad enough anyway. It doesn't matter. But he's really been there throughout my athletic journey of my life to kind of keep me in there, taking me to practices when I didn't have a ride. My mom didn't get off till 5:00. My dad was working off in Columbus, so I didn't really have a way to get to practice. If it wasn't for Pops, I wouldn't have been there. And then my mom and dad keeping me, they're teaching me a work ethic, so to speak, like staying in a sport. If it's, time I'm really tired, my legs are really hurt, and I don't want to go to practice today or something. They're like, no, you need to stick with it. We've signed you up for this sport. You're playing it. You're going to play it. You're not going to sit at the house all day. You're going to go play that sport. And then I really think my friends that go to Furlow with me, they've kind of helped me a little bit to stay with athletics, just talking about it, but also they've kept me in the school. I think there have been times where I may have thought like, man, what if I really want to go play some sports, I may want to go to Sumter, maybe like a Southland or something. But the amount of friends that I've made at Furlow, going there for so long, being with the same kids throughout my journey, it's like, I don't want to leave. I don't want to be without these kids. These are some kids who are core parts of my school year. I think there's a lot of influences around me, but mainly my granddad, pops, and my mom and dad, they've really helped me as far as athletics are concerned and in my Christian walk.
Logan, this has been a lot of fun. And for those that are watching today, man, isn't it cool to have a student athlete in our community that can communicate this well? So, Logan, I'll be honest with you, of all the student athletes that I have interviewed over the years, your comfortableness, for a lack of a better word, in front of a camera, the way you communicate, I think you've got a bright future in that dream of yours to be a broadcaster, and we just kind of look forward to watching you over the next few years. In any way we can help you, we'd love to help you do that. But, man, it's been a lot of fun having you. Thank you for the information about Furlow. I hope you'll be willing to come back and be a part of this again sometime.
I absolutely would.
And again, we want to thank you, our viewers, for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Let me remind you of this. Beginning next Thursday, August the 15th, Scott Westbrook and I will begin going live every Thursday night at 7:15 from the Roman Oven Pizzeria. We'll preview the area's high school football games that are coming up for the following Friday. And we'd love to have you come by and eat with us and stay for the podcast. We've already spoken to all three quarterbacks for the high school football teams in this area. And I know they're going to plan to come by I think it's week 2 of the season. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. We started this last year during football season, and it grew every week. I know Anthony at the Roman Oven really appreciates it, but we'd love to have you come by and be a part of our audience. For my friend Logan Luton, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching.